Greg and I got along probably as well, better than any other two people in the band. You go crashing people. But when he got sick, I called him about every other day. He was really, really sick.
While the Southern rock legend's music immortalized his baby daughter, Jessica, the real stories of Dickey Betts' 4 children are far more complex than any song. From estranged relationships and surprising career paths to shocking family controversies and battles with addiction, each child carved their own distinctive path away from their father's towering shadow. Here's what really happened to Dickey Betts' children. Duane Betts. Duane Betts carries one of the heaviest names in rock and roll history, and that burden nearly destroyed him before he found his way to recovery and musical redemption. Born in April 1978, just months after his father, Dickey Betts, had left the Allman Brothers Band following internal conflicts, Duane was named after Duane Allman, the legendary guitarist who died in a motorcycle accident 7 years before Duane's birth. Growing up as the son of a founding member of the Allman Brothers Band meant living in the shadow of not just one legend, but 2. His mother, Paulette, had once worked as a personal assistant to Cher, who was famously married to Gregg Allman, creating an intricate web of connections to rock royalty that followed Duane throughout his childhood. He spent much of his youth on tour buses with the Allman Brothers, homeschooled while the band traveled from venue to venue, surrounded by adults but isolated from children his own age. The pressure of his famous lineage weighed heavily on young Duane, who initially considered pursuing a career outside of music entirely. He was fascinated by the business side of touring, often tracking attendance numbers and studying the financial aspects of the shows, rather than focusing solely on the music. For a time, he seriously contemplated becoming an accountant, anything to escape the inevitable comparisons to his father and namesake. But music was truly in his DNA, and by his late teens, Duane had picked up the guitar and begun carving out his own path. He formed his first serious band, Backbone 69, in 1998. Playing alongside other children of rock legends, including Alex Orbison, son of Roy Orbison, and Barry Oakley Jr., whose father had been the original bassist for the Allman Brothers Band. The group recorded an album and toured with Government Mule, giving Duane his first taste of professional music success. However, the rock and roll lifestyle that had claimed so many musicians began to take its toll on Duane as well. What started as occasional indulgences gradually escalated into dangerous substance abuse, threatening to derail everything he had worked to build. The pattern was disturbingly familiar to anyone who had followed the tragic history of Southern rock, where addiction had claimed numerous talented musicians over the decades. In 2005, Duane joined his father's band, Great Southern, spending nearly a decade touring and recording with Dickey while battling his own demons. By 2016, after completing a tour with the folk rock band Dawes, Duane reached a crucial crossroads in his life. He made the difficult but necessary decision to commit to sobriety, understanding that without this change, his story might end like too many others in the rock world. The transformation wasn't just personal, but also medical. Duane faced and defeated a battle with cancer while simultaneously working to maintain his sobriety, proving his resilience in the face of multiple life-threatening challenges. He found love and stability when he married artist and designer Lisa Hadley in Wyoming, the same town where they had first met years earlier. By 2018, Duane had co-founded the Allman Betts Band with Devon Allman, Gregg's son, finally embracing rather than running from his musical heritage. The band released 2 successful albums, but Duane's most personal work came with his 2023 solo debut, Wild and Precious Life. The album serves as an unflinching examination of his journey through addiction and recovery, with songs like Saints to Sinners directly addressing what he calls that moment when you don't mean to do the thing that hurt people, but you do it anyway, explaining that is part of addiction. Today, Duane Betts continues touring with his current project, Duane Betts and Palmetto Motel, having finally found peace with his famous name while creating music that stands entirely on its own merits. Kimberly, Kim, Betts. Kimberly Betts lived the first 22 years of her life largely disconnected from her famous father, only to discover that their reunion would transform both of their lives in unexpected ways. Born to Dickey Betts during his tumultuous early years with the Allman Brothers Band, Kim grew up separated from the rock and roll world that defined her father's existence, raised by a mother who had developed what she described as a bad taste in her mouth from the music industry. While Dickey was touring the world and creating Southern rock history, Kim was pursuing her own artistic dreams far from the spotlight. She showed an early passion for performance, often jumping on chairs to sing when someone requested a song and organizing neighborhood productions in her family's garage, complete with hand-drawn crayon flyers to advertise the shows. This natural performer eventually earned a Bachelor of Arts in Musical Theater from San Jose State University in California. After college, Kim moved to San Francisco and built a successful career as a commercial model, while also doing voiceover work. She spent 10 years in California working in theater and entertainment, always maintaining steady employment in an industry known for its uncertainty. Despite her success, Kim remained disconnected from her father's world, with her mother actively discouraging any involvement in the music business based on her own difficult experiences with that lifestyle. The turning point came when Kim was 22 years old and made the decision to reach out to her father. What happened next surprised both of them, as they formed what Kim describes as an instant friendship that bridged more than 2 decades of separation. The emotional reunion proved that their connection transcended the years apart, and Dickey was amazed to discover his daughter's talent and dedication to the arts. One of the most touching moments in their renewed relationship occurred when Dickey and his wife attended Kim's performance in Singing in the Rain at the Manatee Players Theater. After the show, Dickey expressed his amazement at the level of professional work Kim was doing, asking about her compensation for such an elaborate production. His jaw dropped when Kim told him she had done all that work for free, purely for the love of performing, giving him a new appreciation for his daughter's artistic commitment. Recognizing Kim's talent and passion, Dickey became instrumental in helping her transition from theater to music. He helped her form the Gamble Creek Band, sharing his decades of industry knowledge about finding the right musical talent and understanding what to look for in building a successful group. Kim also joined her father on tour during the 1990s, gaining invaluable experience in the music industry and performing on stage with Great Southern, where audiences got to witness the special bond between father and daughter. Today, Kim fronts the Gamble Creek Band, which takes its name from the actual Gamble Creek, where she lives in Central Florida. The versatile country music group performs throughout the Sarasota-Manatee area, offering everything from intimate acoustic performances to high-energy dance sets for festivals and wedding receptions. The band has become well-known locally, and Kim has even released a Christmas album, embracing a more traditional musical style that reflects her roots. The musical legacy continues into a 3rd generation, as Kim's son Grant now occasionally performs with the Gamble Creek Band on guitar, creating a direct musical lineage from Dickey through Kim to her own child. This 3-generation connection represents the ultimate healing of the family relationships that were once fractured by the demands and chaos of rock stardom. Christy Betts. Christy Betts chose a life deliberately removed from the music industry spotlight, yet her story became intertwined with rock history through love, loss, and unexpected tragedy. Unlike her siblings, who embraced various aspects of the entertainment world, Christy made the conscious decision to pursue a completely different path, focusing on horse training in California and raising her family far from the chaos that had defined much of her father's career. Her life took a significant turn when she married Frank Hannon, the co-founding guitarist of the multi-platinum rock band Tesla, in 2001. Their 23-year marriage, as of 2024, has been built on a foundation of mutual understanding about the demands of the music industry, with Christy providing the stability and grounded perspective that comes from growing up around professional musicians. Frank has often credited Christy's understanding of the touring lifestyle gained through her father's career as essential to their successful relationship. While Frank continued his career with Tesla and various solo projects, Christy dedicated herself to training horses and managing their family life in Northern California. Her passion for horses became her professional focus, allowing her to build expertise in an area completely separate from music, while still maintaining the strong work ethic that runs through the Betts family. She deliberately avoided any professional involvement in music, choosing instead to be supportive from behind the scenes as Frank pursued his artistic endeavors. The couple's peaceful life was disrupted in 2021 when they made the difficult decision to relocate to Florida to care for Dickey during his battle with cancer and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. For 3 years, Christy and Frank lived near Dickey's home in Sarasota County, with Christy taking on the role of caregiver for her aging father, while Frank balanced his Tesla commitments with family responsibilities. The period became increasingly challenging as Dickey's health declined, but the couple remained committed to ensuring he was surrounded by family during his final years. Frank later described how Christy's connection to her father, combined with her natural empathy and strength, made her an essential part of Dickey's support system during this difficult time. Tragedy struck multiple times during this period. In 2024, after Dickey passed away in April, Christy and Frank faced additional devastation when back-to-back hurricanes threatened their Florida property. With no remaining reason to stay in Florida after Dickey's death, the couple made the painful decision to evacuate, loading their horses into trailers for the cross-country journey back to California. The month-long journey proved traumatic in ways they never anticipated. One of their beloved horses became critically ill during the trip, and after reaching California, they were forced to make the heartbreaking decision to put the animal down. Frank later described this period as devastating, explaining that he was recovering from losing a lot of things, including Dickey, during what became one of the most difficult chapters of their lives together. The emotional toll of these experiences led Frank to create his most personal musical work, a solo album called Reflections that he recorded entirely on his mobile phone as a form of therapy. The project became a tribute not only to his grief over losing Dickey, but also to the strength he witnessed in Christy during their darkest moments, as she handled multiple losses while helping him process his own emotional recovery through music. Jessica Betts. Jessica Betts holds the unique distinction of being immortalized in one of rock music's most beloved instrumental pieces, while simultaneously maintaining complete anonymity in her adult life. Born on May 14, 1972, Jessica became the unwitting muse for her father's greatest commercial success when she was barely old enough to walk, yet she has spent her entire adult life deliberately avoiding the public attention that her famous namesake song continues to generate. The story of how Jessica inspired the Grammy-winning instrumental Jessica has become one of the most cherished tales in Southern rock history. In 1973, when Jessica was just 1 year old, Dickey was working on a new composition at the Allman Brothers Band's communal property, known as The Farm, a 432-acre retreat in Juliet, Georgia, where the band members lived and created music together. Dickey had been struggling with an instrumental piece, having crafted what he felt was a strong main melody, but becoming increasingly frustrated with where to take the song next. During one of these creative sessions, baby Jessica crawled into the room where her father was working and began bouncing and moving to the rhythm of the music he was playing. Dickey later explained that watching his daughter's natural, joyful response to the melody gave him exactly the inspiration he needed to complete the composition. He described the moment as trying to capture musically the way she looked, bouncing around the room, translating her innocent, carefree energy into the uplifting guitar work that would define the finished song. The instrumental Jessica became one of the standout tracks on the Allman Brothers Band's 1973 album Brothers and Sisters, which marked their most commercially successful period following the tragic deaths of Duane Allman and Berry Oakley. The song showcased Dickey's melodic guitar work alongside Chuck Leavell's piano contributions, creating a sound that was both sophisticated and accessible to mainstream audiences. In 1996, a live version of Jessica earned the band a Grammy Award for Best Rock Instrumental Performance, cementing the song's place in rock history. Despite being the inspiration for this celebrated piece of music, Jessica has chosen a path of complete privacy that stands in stark contrast to her siblings' various levels of public engagement. While her brother Duane followed their father into professional music and her sister Kim performs regularly with her own band, Jessica has maintained such a low profile that virtually no information about her adult life, career, or current activities has ever been made public. This deliberate anonymity is particularly striking given the enduring popularity of the song that bears her name. Jessica has been featured in countless films and television shows, most notably as the theme music for the British automotive show Top Gear, introducing the composition to new generations of listeners who may not even realize it was named after a real person. The song continues to receive regular radio airplay on classic rock stations worldwide, making Jessica's name familiar to millions of people who know nothing about the private individual behind the title. Jessica's choice to remain completely out of the public eye represents perhaps the most dramatic departure from her father's world among all of his children, creating an intriguing paradox where the most publicly celebrated of Dickey's offspring, in terms of artistic recognition, has become the most mysterious in terms of personal information.